Hey, folks, it's a Jeff Thitoff Show. I'm Tito, Jeff Thitoff. Thanks so much for tuning in. Follow me on Twitter, @ThatHappens. Lots to talk about today. The calendar has turned to March, which means March Madness is very, very close, but we might get some pre-March Madness stuff going on. The Ohio State men's basketball team takes on Penn State on Wednesday night on the road in Happy Valley. Ohio State comes in 18-11 overall, 10-8 in the Big Ten. The Buckeyes then close out their regular season by hosting Indiana on Saturday on senior night. And Ohio State got a huge win over top 10 ranked Purdue over the weekend, and that may have locked in a spot for them, provided they win at least one of these next two games. I'm thinking 18-11, 10-8. If you get to 10-10 in the Big Ten and 18-13 going into the Big Ten tournament, maybe not. But if you can at least one more win here, win one of the two, Ohio State should win both of them. They should win both of them and finish at 20-11, 12-8, and that would, no matter what happens in the Big Ten tournament, that would get them into the NCAA for the first time in what seems like forever. But Penn State, always tough to play on the road in the Big Ten. But I think Ohio State getting the Purdue win right before the Penn State game and seeing where they're at now and how close they are to really locking up a bid, I think that'll motivate them enough on Wednesday to get a win at Penn State. Penn State's one of the worst teams in the Big Ten. Every road game in the Big Ten, though, is not a gimme. So although I do expect Ohio State to win, Big Ten teams on the road sometimes struggle. So Ohio State right now, they are tied for 8th, but really 9th in the Big Ten with Iowa for the in the standing as it stands right now. The Buckeyes need to get a top 8 seed in the Big Ten tournament to get the double bye. Now, Ohio State's last two games, as I mentioned, Penn State tonight, and then Indiana. Iowa's got a couple of tough ones. Iowa's got, they host number 3 Michigan on Thursday night, and then they close out at ranked Nebraska. Ranked as of now. They might fall out after the recent loss, but to UCLA. So anyway, but if Ohio State does one game better out of these next two than Iowa does, Ohio State gets that 8 seed and jumps into the double bye. If UCLA would happen to lose to USC as well, and Ohio State wins both of these, Ohio State could be the 7 seed. All very important for Ohio State. I've said it all season long. I've been ridiculed by some for saying this. But Ohio State has the DNA makeup of a potential Sweet 16 team. They've got a great senior point guard. Go back and look at other teams that have won titles. And I'm going pretty far back here, I guess, but like Mateen Cleaves for Michigan State, Khalid El-Amin for Connecticut, point guards who weren't going to be NBA prospects, but were great college point guards, leaders, guys who could score in the clutch. That's what Bruce Thornton is for Ohio State. By the time Ohio State plays Indiana, by the way, sidebar, on Saturday, when the time that game's over, Bruce Thornton should be the all-time leading scorer in Ohio State history. Think about that, how many great players have come through. Thornton should be the all-time leading scorer in Ohio State history on Saturday night against Indiana. So you got that point guard element. They've got John Mobley, Junior Mobley, who can take over a game with his shooting. He can go 6 for 7. He can go 1 for 7 in a game from threes. But he can carry a team, and when he's hot, look out. They've also got a number of players in that are like kind of plug-and-play guys. You can move around a little bit, multiple defenders, multiple position players, I should say. Christoph Tilly, I've loved him this year. Just got to make sure he's healthy. Devin Royal also has potential for a big game. Bynum, the freshman. And, we'll say Tayson Chapman's been fantastic since he's gotten back. He's getting better and better as he gets more reps after missing time with injury. We need to get Knoll back. It'd be great to have Brandon Knoll back in time for the Big Ten tournament. We'll see on that one. And I'm not saying Ohio State is I'm not predicting them to be in the Sweet 16. Hell, they might even make the tournament depending on his next two games. What I'm saying is, though, they've got the potential. They've got the makeup of a Sweet 16 type of team in the NCAA tournament. Wouldn't that be great for Chris Holtmann? No matter what happens, he's back next year. He'll be the head coach next year for Ohio State. Even if they would somehow lose these next two, lose in the first round of the Big Ten tournament, he's still back next year. But Bruce Thornton, though, I especially want this for him. He's already the guy who scored the most points for Ohio State without an NCAA tournament appearance, and he's about to become, hopefully this year, the all-time scorer and have an NCAA appearance. Also, speaking on the men's side, briefly, Miami, Ohio in the MAC improved to 30-0 with the win over Toledo. Bruce Pearl, former head coach of Auburn. Auburn, by the way, currently coached by his son, Stephen Pearl. Auburn, by the way, one of the bubble teams as far as the NCAA tournament goes. So it would make sense that Bruce Pearl would want, only the MAC to be a one-bid league just to help his son's team's chances out. They might not make it anyway. But Miami is now 30-0, and Akron's 25-5. Bruce Pearl said that Miami does not deserve to be in the NCAA tournament. Said they'd finish at or near the bottom in some of the Power Four conferences, in some of the tougher conferences, put it that way. It's not Power Four really in basketball. But, and that's ridiculous. Look, Miami's 30-0, and yes, they have had a weak schedule. I totally get that. I understand you can't argue the facts about strength of schedule. But is it all Miami's fault? Because you can only play teams that will play you. It's not like, great, now the MAC, you've got your schedule, that's all done. Granted, the MAC is not a great conference. It's a good conference, not a great conference. But as far as your non-conference games go, and I don't know if this is the case or not, but if there are some teams that maybe avoided Miami, that's not Miami's fault. And I don't care what league you go, undefeated to go with one loss in, you deserve to be in the tournament. Now, if Miami were happen to, say, lose in the first round of the first game of the MAC tournament, probably wouldn't be first round. I'm sure there's buys involved with that. Or if they lose anywhere along the way in the MAC tournament to where they don't get the auto bid, but still have just one loss, you better put their asses in the tournament. If they win the MAC undefeated, I don't want to see this 10-9 seed crap. I want to see them at least a 7 seed. Because if you go undefeated in any league that's not like, way, way, way down. But the MAC is an okay league. If you go undefeated in that, you deserve to be at least a 7 seed. Akron's sitting there at 25-5. That would be the likely opponent for Miami in the MAC championship game. If Akron makes to the MAC championship game and loses to Miami, I'd strongly consider putting them in as well. But Miami, no matter what happens the rest of the way for them, they have to be in the tournament. Akron could probably make a case for them as well. OSU women, they are the 5 seed in the women's Big Ten tournament. They'll play either Indiana or Nebraska on Thursday. They are 24-6, 13-5. And last time we projected it and looked at it, it looks like they were going to be hosting the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament at their home site. As long as you're a top 16 seed, which means top 4 in any region, you get to host the first 2 games. That's a huge advantage for Ohio State if that's the case. We'll keep an eye on that as well. Kevin McGuff's team. This will be a big tournament for them. The Big Ten is stacked. The fact that Ohio State is this good and they're a 5 seed, so they didn't get the triple bye, but they did get the double bye. We'll see how they play. They're deep this year. I like the team a lot. They play that same style of defense, the 40 minutes of hell, and the games on back-to-back days is not easy, but this team is well-conditioned and deep enough, I think, to pull it off. All right, switch over to the NFL. And the Dallas Cowboys, according to Adam Schefter, have restructured a couple of contracts, one of them being Dak Prescott's, to clear up about $47 million in cap room for them. The Cowboys need defense. I can't wait to hear what IndyCar Tim Ham says about Dallas with this whole thing. But the Bengals did not tag edge rusher Trey Hendrickson. And I think that'd be a perfect fit in Dallas. They've got the money now. I know Hendrickson is a little bit older, but that's the kind of guy that I think that Dallas and Detroit should be targeting. Since they didn't tag him, he'll be unrestricted free agent now. He's also been linked, I believe, to the Buccaneers, another team. But most teams should be interested if they have the cap room. But Dallas and Detroit seem like the most viable options where you can make an impact to me. Also, the Seahawks did not tag Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker, by the way, the Super Bowl MVP. Just because you're Super Bowl MVP doesn't mean special. We've seen some really bad Super Bowl MVPs, Larry Brown, Dallas being one of them. Boy, it's Dallas heavy right now, who went and signed a big contract and then flamed out with the Raiders. But I understand what Seattle's doing. As far as I'm concerned, if I ran an NFL team, I would draft a running back with talent and run him into the ground for 3 years, 4 years, whatever, 5 years if he's that good. Don't give him that second contract, though. It seems that does not work out for the team more often than not. When the Cowboys gave Zeke the big contract, he was already on the downside. Le'Veon Bell fought for a bigger contract, and look what happened with him. There are exceptions to the rule. Derrick Henry. I've been writing Derrick Henry off now for 3 years, and he still does great. But look at the wear and tear on guys like Saquon Barkley. Saquon had a great year 2 years ago, and they won the Super Bowl. And had a lot of carries, though, a lot of receptions all the way through that. This year was a difficult year for him and the Eagles. So you have to be weary about that. I'd rather be on the other side of it. I'd rather be more cautious than get burned by a second running back contract. So I would just draft running backs and cycle them in every few years. The way that people draft running backs now, you can get really good value later in drafts than you used to be able to, as far as getting a quality running back in there. So keep an eye on that. Kyler Murray, the Cardinals have told him he'll either be released or traded. To tell you what that means, he'll be released because no one's going to trade for him with this $36.8 million cap hit. The former number one pick, the quarterback for the Cardinals, third leading passer in Cardinals history as far as yards go, but first in QB rating. Quite frankly, the most talented quarterback, the Cardinals have ever had. I still think he has something in the tank. And I wonder if a team like Cleveland will make a play for him. You can get him for the league minimum, and then the offset language, the way the offsetting money works, the Cardinals pick up the rest of the tab. But there's not a lot of teams that really need quarterbacks. The Jets are one. The Browns need a better quarterback. The Raiders are going to draft Mendoza. So unless he wants to go like to Minnesota, where he could probably start there because I don't think they believe in J.J. McCarthy. But there's not a lot of options out there for him. So Kyler Murray will end up signing with, I think, one of those teams. Pittsburgh's the other option. If Rodgers decides not to come back, that could be in play there. The fact he's cheap helps out quite a bit. The Colts put a transition tag on Daniel Jones, meaning they have the right to match any offer. Saves him about $6 million, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, from the regular tag to the transition tag. So they're going to pay him less than they would if they just fully tagged him. But other teams can make offers, and the Colts think can have the chance to match if they so choose to. And, they've already getting rid of Anthony Richardson. They've got Riley Leonard as the other quarterback on their roster. Jones got hurt late last year. Great start for the Colts, 8-2, but then he tore his Achilles, and I don't know when he'll be back. The most recent comparison I have is Aaron Rodgers. Now, Rodgers much older than Daniel Jones. When Rodgers, I don't want to say rushed back, but he seemed to defy odds a little bit with how quickly he came back from his surgery. But he did not look good in his first 10 games with the Jets after that season. Fine the second half of the season, but it seems like if you really push the rehab on the Achilles like that, it's going to take time to get back to where you're comfortable. So it's a smart move by the Colts to do it. They're getting rid of Anthony Richardson. He's going to be gone. He'll be somewhere else as well. He'll have to go be reclamation project for somebody if they want him. But it could be Riley Leonard starting the season under center for the Colts. I don't think they're going to make another move somewhere else. Other news, the Lions traded David Montgomery to the Texans for a 5th-round pick. This makes a lot of sense. David Montgomery, the running back who'd been sharing time with Jahmyr Gibbs. 5th-round pick seems about fair for him. The Lions are going to have a different quarterback or different running back, to pair with Gibbs this upcoming season. But NFL is going to kick off here with free agency. It's never ending. We got the combine behind us, and I always think it's funny with the combine that how many guys become stars or bums. And there's a big controversy going on about Carnell Tate's 40 time. Carnell Tate, the Ohio State wide receiver, 4.53 seconds what he was clocked at officially by the NFL Combine at in Indianapolis. At least, according to Athletic, at least 2 teams had him with a faster time. So Tate's not slow. Tate's not a burner, but he's not slow. There were some teams had him in the 4.45 range. And so there's different ways. You get all these guys out there with different methods of timing these things. And so just because they have their official one, that doesn't mean it's the most correct one. So and the fact this comes out like this, that, I had faster times. It could also be just team propaganda, front office propaganda, trying to either raise or lower the stock of Carnell Tate. If they want to get him later in the draft, say, it's 4.5. 4.53 is what I got. And if they want to see him go off board earlier or somebody else they like, no, I had him at 4.45. I wonder if that has happened there. But Carnell Tate's going to be a stud in the NFL. He's going to be, you saw what Jackson Smith and Jigba's done. He's in that mold, and he's going to be really good in the NFL. So switching over to college football. And nothing official yet. They have not, I don't think they've announced anything official yet, but Matt Patricia's back again with the Ohio State Buckeyes to run the defense. And they lost a lot of talent to the draft. but they lost a lot of talent to the draft the year before, and Patricia put them on such a great spot. The defense was not the reason Ohio State lost last year in no way, shape, or form. They gave up 13 points in the Big Ten championship game to Indiana. If you give up 13, you should win. The points game against Miami in the first round of their first college football playoff game, I guess it would be called that, the quarterfinal. The first game they had there, they gave a pick 6. They missed a field goal, chip shot field goal. That's the reasons Ohio State ended the season the way they did with the 2 losses. But Matt Patricia knows what he's doing. And the fact that they're going to make him, I believe, the highest paid assistant coach in college football. Reports are it's at least $3 million a year, 3-year deal. I love that. And now you've got Arthur Smith coming in from Pittsburgh. So you've got Ohio State. It looks like they're kind of doing, Nick Saban, genius for a long time to Alabama, had the reclamation projects where you bring guys in who flamed out or got fired or whatever, had other issues off the field that caused them to lose their jobs. But he would bring them in, rehab them as far as rehab their image. I don't mean literally rehab, but in some cases maybe. Anyway, and then they go on to Sarkisian, great example of that. Lane Kiffin, great example of that. And that's kind of what Saban would do. It feels like Ryan Day has stumbled upon something with that as well. You had Chip Kelly come in, and Chip Kelly goes and becomes the highest paid offensive coordinator in NFL history. They canned him after like 11 games or 9 games, whatever it was, but still he gets that money. It was a 3-year, $18 million deal. And now, Matt Patricia had won 3 Super Bowls as an assistant with the Patriots, goes to the Lions, not great results there, not totally his fault, goes back to the Patriots, and now he's with the Buckeyes. But I would think that if he has another season like he did last year, you'll see him get a shot again in the NFL. Maybe as a head coach. We'll see on that one. The schedule this year is going to be tough for Ohio State football. And they could very well be the first team to make it with 3 losses as an at-large team into the CFP. Look at Texas is not going to be easy. They also have to play at Indiana. They host Oregon. They are at USC. They are at Iowa. They play Michigan. It's not they host Michigan. It's not an easy schedule for the Ohio State Buckeyes. It's one of the toughest ones in the country. So I wonder how Columbus will react, because it would be amazing if Ohio State went undefeated. It'd be amazing if through this whole season with just 1 loss going into the Big Ten championship game. It might be too big of an ask. So we'll keep an eye on that. And also one other thing I want to talk about, Alabama football. Maybe trying to back out of the Ohio State game coming up here. They've got a home and home scheduled with between Ohio State and Alabama. And Alabama has there's rumblings in the SEC that Alabama may dump that series with Ohio State because the SEC is going to 9 conference games and Alabama wants another easy win. That's paraphrasing that last part. That's more opinion on that. I understand why Alabama would want to do it, but I agree with Ross Bjork, Ohio State's AD, who said, Ohio State's not afraid of anybody. We'll play anybody. We don't care. It could be a great win for Alabama, but although I understand why Alabama would consider it. Anybody who says that, if Texas hadn't played Ohio State last year, they made the playoffs. No, Texas missed the playoffs because they lost to Florida. That was the reason. Not because they lost to Ohio State in a nail-biter, 14-7. So there's other reasons why Texas did not make it to the CFP. I want to see these big games in college football we don't always get to see. Now, the other argument is, you'll see them in the CFP. We saw Ohio State, Tennessee in the CFP, a game we wouldn't normally see a couple years ago. So you do see matchups like that. But it's not guaranteed every year. And it's not always going to be in one of the home sites. It was great to have Tennessee at Ohio State. That was all. I'd love to see Ohio State play in Knoxville. I would love to see that. Ohio State, Alabama, anytime they play in the postseason, it's great. But I want to see them in September at the Horseshoe or in Tuscaloosa. I want to see when Ohio State's got Georgia coming up, the home and home with them. I want to see Ohio State play Georgia here and then in Athens in a key game early in the season. I want to see those kinds of things. So I hope Alabama does not, bail on this and they keep the home and home. It's great for college football fans. like I said, I understand why Alabama might say, no, we don't want to do this. There's too much at stake, whatever. There's also a lot of positives could come out of this if they decide to play these games. There's a lot of really good things that can come out of this if they get a win. All right, I want to close on this. The 2026 World Baseball Classic getting underway. And Buster Posey, who is the Giants, San Francisco Giants president of baseball operations, and he won the WBC back in 2017. He didn't want, reports are, he expressed concern about their ace pitcher Logan Webb participating in the WBC for Team USA. So Webb made the final decision to do it. He wants to be in a playoff-like atmosphere. Posey is worried about Webb maybe ramping up too quickly and being a young pitcher. Now, he did say that the tournament might be a little better of an idea when pitchers are a little bit older. But Logan Webb being a younger guy, he's concerned that he's going to try to get ready too quickly. And, like I said, Webb said it's a playoff-like atmosphere. He wants to be a part of that. This goes back to my whole thing. And if you've heard this before, go ahead and turn it off now. But I am always conflicted with something like this. I said it during the Olympics. I'll say it during the Summer Olympics again when that pops around in a couple years here. I understand wanting to play for your country. I do. The 1980 Miracle on Ice, probably the greatest sports moment of my lifetime. I understand it. The Olympics were great. Fantastic win for the U.S. Love it. Love the drama. But there's also the other side of it. Sidney Crosby for the Penguins, who are fighting for a playoff berth after coming back, and Germany missed probably 4 weeks, at least 4 weeks, which hurts the Penguins' chances. And back in 1980, those were amateur players playing for the United States. Now, granted, they got their asses kicked in hockey every year after 1960 until that 1980 team because they played with amateurs. Same thing in basketball. It happened where, I should say, the U.S. usually won in basketball, but I'm saying that the amateurs, though, that played back in 1980, and there were no, guys who went on to fantastic. There was no, there was no Wayne Gretzky playing for the United States or something like that, went on some great career. These were all average players that happened to bond together at the right time. So there's less of a risk of career-altering injuries, or I guess the risk is still there for career-altering, but less of a potential financial loss for the players then. And now baseball's paying these people so much money, paying pitchers so much money. And we see so many injuries. We we baby the pitchers so much. There's no more complete games. 5 innings, 6 innings, you're coming out of the game. So if you're that worried about it, Buster Posey's main job is not to win the World Baseball Classic. The fans that buy tickets, season tickets, who support the Giants, they want to win a World Series in San Francisco, I would think, more than the WBC. And if one outweighs the other, and Logan Webb being one of your most valuable pieces on a potential World Series team, I wouldn't want him out there either. I don't blame Posey one bit for not wanting it. I understand he let Webb make the final decision on it, but when you're investing hundreds of millions of dollars into players and you want your fans to invest all this money in the team, I want to make sure my best possible team is on the field. I know that anybody can get hurt at any time. There's been guys who've gotten hurt stepping out of the bathtub, guys getting hurt, brushing their hair, whatever, tripping on steps at home. Those injuries happen. Those are freakish injuries. They are players not putting themselves in a position to get injured, but somehow get injured. With the World Baseball Classic, Logan Webb might be putting himself into a position where he could get injured. How important is the World Baseball Classic? Last time around, fantastic moment. Shohei striking out Mike Trout to end it. That was wonderful. A wonderful World Baseball Classic. Yes, a great moment. But if I were Buster Posey, I understand what he's saying. And there's some players who wanted to play but couldn't get insured. And so they're not playing. Elly De La Cruz for the Reds. One of the guys who wanted to play. Insurance concerns, couldn't get insurance for it. He's not playing. So anyway, that's my soapbox off my grass moment. I don't expect it to be popular. I'm patriotic also. I loved 1980. I loved this past month when the USA beat Canada. Loved it. You know, I love those moments. The Dream Team in 92. So much fun to watch. But now I don't want to see my guy getting $70 million a year get hurt in the Olympics as far as basketball goes. So that's it for me. Again, just my opinion on that one. It's fair. If you have a different opinion, let me know at It Happens. This has been the Jeff Thitoff Show. Again, I'm Tito. Follow me on Twitter at It Happens. We'll talk again soon.